Hello, YouTube. This story I'm about to tell you is important to me personally because my grandfather was serving in the territory where this actually happened in 1939, when the Red Army of the Soviet Union clashed with the forces of the Imperial Japan. But he did not encounter any cryptids while fighting the Japanese. Others did. But I'm proud of my grandfather's military service, whether during the Russian Civil War as a young cavalryman in the legendary Kotovsky troops of the Workers' and Peasants' Red Army, or the war with the Imperial Japan, or his service as a frontline reconnaissance officer in World War II, fighting Nazi invaders, doing missions behind enemy lines. But back to the Yeti, also known as the Bigfoot, the abominable snowman, the Almasta, and other names. And you can see my other videos on the subject if you're interested. So late at night in August 1939, the head of the special department of one of the units of the Red Army, we are referring to actually in military intelligence, secret police, and so forth, integrated in the armed services. Anyway, this was in the area of the fighting on the Halhin-Gol River, and the name was Comrade Kolpashnikov. He was called to the location of the Mongolian cavalry unit. The Mongols had an emergency. At dusk, the sentries noticed two silhouettes on the descent from the ridge, and they issued warnings, and then, confident that they were Japanese scouts or spies, the beings that they sighted, the sentries opened the fire to kill. Imagine their amazement when the Japanese scouts turned out to be huge apes. Having reached the scene in an armored car and examining the violators at dawn, Comrade Kolpashnikov felt some kind of awkwardness that the dead were not enemy, but strange-looking animal creatures. The same embarrassment was noticeable among the Mongolian sentries. Of course, Kolpashnikov recalled, at that time I had not heard of the Bigfoot, and I do not claim that it was the Bigfoot, but I knew that there are no humanoid apes in the Mongolian People's Republic. And then I thought, like other comrades, about the question, who is this? An old Mongol from the local residence, who was brought by the Mongolian military interpreters, explained that these were wild mountain people found in these parts. But because of local superstition, the old man did not come close to the bodies. Kolpashnikov described the apes in some detail. The creatures were human-sized. The body was covered with reddish-brown hair and unevenly, in places somewhat thicker, in places the skin appeared. And he remembers the thick falling hair on the forehead and eyebrows, and the faces looked like a rough human face. In the autumn in Ulaanbaatar, at a banquet on the occasion of the presentation of orders, one of the officers of the Red Army told in the presence of Comrade Kolpashnikov about a similar case. What could have attracted snowmen to the Halhin-Gol River area? I reckon there are three circumstances. One, the northeast is one of the three regions of Mongolia where encounters with Bigfoot or Yeti have been recorded. Two, in those days, the heat in the area was 40 to 45 degrees Celsius. And there was a smell odor coming from the area of the fighting, and that could have attracted the ancient humanoids. Three, during the intense fighting on the Halhin-Gol, the vigilance of the sentries was quite high, including at night, unlike at other times. But as one classic said, eternity will not bring you back a lost moment. When in 1958 the USSR organized a large-scale expedition looking for Bigfoot to the Pamir Mountains, which many scientists criticize for its difficulty associated with the most difficult terrain, Kalpashnikov, who personally examined that Bigfoot 20 years ago in Mongolia. He worked as the head of the section at the Moscow wagon repair factory. So he was able to recount his memories once again, but it was no longer possible to attach photographs or any material evidence of what he had personally seen. He couldn't attach it to the case at that point. But I read another interesting commentary about the Halhingol cryptids. Here it is. And I do not know the name of the person who posted this, but it's very interesting. Here it goes. I don't know before the war or after. My father, born in 1918, was in that area. He is a tank officer. As a child, he told me this, when the narrator was a child, he heard this case. Soldiers dragged the creatures similar to the abominable snowman, according to the description. At that time, they didn't know anything about it. I asked what had been done to him, and the father said that they probably shot him because they didn't know who he was or what to do with him. He did not speak, he only mumbled. He was all overgrown with fur. I don't remember my father talking about the height of that creature or not. Now let's move on to 1941 and to another part, but not too far away. In October of 1941, a separate Red Army Rifle Battalion was transferred from Lankaran in Azerbaijan to the mountainous region of Dagestan, near the city of Buynaksk. The local internal affairs agencies, meaning secret police of the time, asked Comrade Karapetyan, the military doctor of the battalion, to examine a man caught in the mountains and determine whether the man was dressed up in a skin or had actually grown a very long hair. The prisoner was in a cold barn because, according to the police officers, he was sweating heavily and could not stay in a heated room. During his time in custody, he did not take food or drink, did not ask for anything, and did not talk to people. There was a man standing in front of us, Karapetyan recalled, male, naked, barefoot. He was undeniably human, for all his forms were human, but on his chest, back, and shoulders, his body was covered with fluffy dark brown hair. The coat resembled that of a bear, 2 to 3 centimeters long. Below the chest, the coat was thinner and more delicate. The hands were rough with sparse hair. The palms and soles of the feet were hairless. On the head, the hair was very long, shoulder length, partially covering the forehead. The hair was stiff to the touch. There was no pronounced beard or mustache. But the military doctor noticed a hairline on the whole face. There were small hairs all around the mouth. The man was straight with his hands down. Height was above average, about 2 meters, broad-shouldered, muscular. The chest was well developed. The hands had very thick, strong fingers, unusually large in size. The complexion was dark, not human-like. The eyebrows were thick. The eyes were deeply sunken. A look that says nothing. It was empty, animal-like. Attempts to cause a reaction to water, food, an outstretched hand, and the sound of a voice did not work. When his hair was pulled, his blinking became more frequent. When he was pushed, he took a few steps and stopped. The sounds he made were more like a moo sound. The experienced military doctor drew attention to the abundant pediculases on the chest, neck, and hair of the neck and face of the man, where whole chains of lice hung on the eyebrows and around the mouth. According to the military doctor Karapetyan, the lice he observed could not be attributed to any of the three types found in humans. They were closer to head lice, but larger. After the war, Lieutenant Colonel of the Medical Service, Vazgen Sarkisovich Karapetyan, sent a message to the Commission for the Study of the Bigfoot issue. And on September 13, 1959, the newspaper Dagestanskaya Pravda published an explanation by the Minister of Internal Affairs of the Dagestan Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic, Comrade Abakarov. The minister informed through the newspaper that the creature detained in the mountains during the war was recognized by his doctors as a man pretending to be insane and taking on a wild appearance, therefore a malingerer and therefore a criminal. Abakarov's so-called explanation was most likely an attempt to shield the actions of the subordinates, since the captured man was recognized as a malingerer hiding in the mountains. He was treated according to the harsh laws of wartime, executed. In this story, see, I'm kind of confused by the calmness of this wild man. The described behavior looks more feral than a relic creature that has great power, a special set of sounds, and superhuman strength. Look at my other videos, description of the creatures throughout Asia and other parts of the world. Probably examining a relic humanoid would not be a simple matter even for an experienced military doctor. Judging by Karapetyan's description, the creature was not hurt, injured, or weakened in any way, but some kind of depression, humility, and inability to confront are striking and kind of seem strange in this story. Some people believe that the two creatures shot in the Halkingol River area in 1939 most likely also had to do with a feral and not a relict species. The relict type of abominable snowman or Yeti is capable of confrontation with humans, uses infrasound voice modulations, can harass groups of people, and the legends of the Mansi people say that it combines the assumption of a being and a spirit. Look at my videos about the strange incident in the Urals, about the Dyatlov Pass tragedy, and especially the one about the strange creature that was photographed at the end. But for example, the Mansi hunters see how the creature's tracks disappear in one place and inexplicably appear in another. That's very important. So, who were those creatures in Dagestan 1941 and before that in the Halkingol, Mongolia in 1939? That's all we know at this time. Maybe we will learn more later when the archives are declassified, if this happens. Would be nice to know what the Japanese have in their secret files about the Halkingol cryptids. That's what I wanted to let you know today. And if you like my research, please support me through the links you will find in the description to this video. Please tell others about my channel. Please subscribe. Please turn on notification signals on your YouTube subscriptions. And thank you for your attention to my work, as always.